What is up, though, Lions fans? You already know the deal because it's the Motor City Cats being back at it. Came to give you stats, not static, whatever you do. I can't tell you what to do. But make sure you keep your Lions news pragmatic. Please, if you guys hear anything in the background, it is my neighbors being very loud, trimming the hedges. I don't know what they're doing. But if you hear, some chainsaw sound in the background, please believe this is not the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I'm not doing anything crazy like that, okay? I just wanted to say that on stream, just in case you see me on the news later. I'm joking. All right, what up, though, Lone Spoon? What up, though, Paul Thomas? So we're going to get into our preview today of the Detroit Lions versus the Indianapolis Colts. Now, we've got some information here that seems to be a little bit off kilter. Shout out my guy Easy. We just talked about, we didn't really talk about it. I just answered. I gave him a mailbag question. He answered it. Seems to be some discrepancies about the Colts defense. We'll get into that. We'll get into the injury report. We'll get into all that. No, Paul Thomas, I'm not doing that. Look, you see my hands. I can't be doing that. All right, so we're going to get into all that. So let's start out with the injury report. For the Detroit Lions, we know that Ennis Rakestraw is out. The question is, are Ennis Rakestraw's injuries starting to become a concern? Just a fan, what's up, though, my guy? I didn't love Ennis Rakestraw's injury history when he came into the league. I think now this is like his third game that he's going to be missing due to injury. He is out with a hamstring injury. We know that Terrion Arnold is questionable with a hamstring or with a groin, and we know that Emmanuel Moseley is questionable with the pec. So it looks like Emmanuel Moseley is going to be making his season debut. It looks like Terrion Arnold is fine and he is going to be playing, which is good news. Okay, which is good news because Pittman is back for the Colts. Who else is there? Alec Pierce is out there. Jonathan Taylor is not really the Terrion Arnold effect, but obviously you want to have all hands on deck to be stopping someone like him. But Ennis Rakestraw Jr., like I said, is missing a lot of games with soft tissue injuries. I believe did he have groin surgery? Or no, it was core muscle surgery. So he missed the start of the offseason program. I think this happened in the offseason, so he wasn't able to maybe run the 40, do the combine stuff. So it's a little bit concerning for me because I had this concern before he got drafted, which is we can talk about something else. I hadn't planned on talking about this, but sometimes you have conversations and conversations go the way that they go. Carlton Davis needs to be re-signed today. Okay. You don't want to lose Carlton Davis first and foremost. Carlton Davis has been, I think, invaluable to the development of Terrion Arnold. I think that's his mentor. Brian Branch is obviously a Bama guy, and the Bama guys hang out. Jahmyr Gibbs, J-Mo, Brian Branch, Terrion Arnold. Roll Pride. But I think it's been Carlton Davis in that CB room being a mentor to both Terrion Arnold and Ennis Rakestraw Jr. Now, here's the other thing. Forget his mentorship. Forget his leadership. Forget his absolute dogship. Okay? A lot of ships going on. Forget all of that stuff. When you're talking about letting him walk out of the door and then turning the reins over to Terrion Arnold in year number 2, which is fine. I think he's going to continue to develop. I think he's going to develop quickly. So you're turning over, but then you're coming in to the second cornerback position with an Ennis Rakestraw Jr., who I just talked about all of his injuries. Okay, I'm not comfortable with that. I don't think Brad Holmes is comfortable with that. So it's an upsetting trend because he's not even playing much football on defense. Most of the time he is in the games on special teams. Okay? So he's not doing anything really. So is he getting injured in practice? Is he, what's happening? Is he covering kicks and getting injured while he's covering kicks? Like, what is the reason that Ennis Rakestraw keeps getting these soft tissue injuries? So I'm not out on Ennis Rakestraw, but I'm very concerned about his injury history. Right. So Taylor Made Meter says Carlton Davis the third has a Super Bowl ring. Those Bamas have already seen it, for sure. But I don't think that you can let Carlton Davis walk out of the door and then turn things over to Ennis Rakestraw. So I just went off on a little bit of a tangent because I felt that, I was just concerned seeing another injury for Ennis Rakestraw Jr. and just not even understanding, if you're not playing that much, what happens when you're full time? You know what I mean? It's like, okay, we'll probably re-sign Emmanuel Moseley again because he just keeps finding his way back onto the roster. And I hope, with Emmanuel Moseley seeming to be on track to make his season debut on Sunday, we've got we're 9-1, so we've got 7 games left, and then the playoffs. So hopefully we've got 10 games left? Yeah. Okay. Because that first round bye is loading. Okay. So hopefully we've got 10 games left. I want Emmanuel Moseley to be healthy for all 10 games. I don't want him to miss a snap that he's supposed to get. Obviously, he's not coming in and taking anybody's starting position. He'll be a backup and he'll have some packages where he's in the game. But any snap that he is supposed to have, I don't want to see him miss a single one of them. Okay? And even if he does this, even if he comes in from this week on Sunday and plays all of the games remaining, and he doesn't miss a snap that he's supposed to get, not a single snap, he's missed 3 straight seasons almost. Okay, so he missed from week 5 with San Francisco. And then he missed almost all of last season, got in for 3 plays, and then it was another ACL injury on the other leg. Then he comes in after rehabbing the ACL injury, and he goes out with a pectoral in the preseason. Or was it training camp? I don't think he got to any preseason games. And then, so he misses the first 10 weeks of this season. So even if he goes through and he plays every snap that he's supposed to get, he misses nothing, you still can't trust Emmanuel Moseley's health to say, okay, now I'm gonna roll out Ennis Rakestraw Jr. and with a re-signed 1-year deal, Emmanuel Moseley as his backup. It just doesn't work. So I really believe that Carlton Davis will be re-signed by this team. I really do. Let's see. If you're in the chat, if you're viewing, make sure you smash the like button. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you drop in the chat and say, hey. Another thing that I wanted, before I forget, before I get too deep into this, I am going to try to to have call-ins during the live stream. Okay, so obviously we're going to be live streaming the game on Sunday, and that's when I want to start trying to do the call-ins. It's not really going to be a phone situation. It's going to be a link. So what you should be doing, if you're not following me on X or Twitter, whatever you like to call it, obviously us old heads like to call it Twitter. Okay. If you're not following me on Twitter, make sure that you go follow me. Okay. My @ is down below. Okay. At MCDP313 on Twitter or X. Okay. Go follow me. Because what'll happen with the call-ins is I'll send you a DM and I'll tell you basically turn your camera off. And then I'll bring you in and you can start talking and it'll seem like a phone call, not, a stream thing. So that's what I'm going to try to do starting on Sunday during the game. And then I'll probably have phone call Fridays and all these things, just depending on how it works out with, and probably Mondays as well. Because Monday, people will want to call in and talk about the game, what they thought, what they saw, what they liked, what they didn't like, and all these things. So yeah, I'm gonna try to get that rolling. So it'll be a good thing to test it out during the live stream, because then that's a show that lasts for 3 hours plus. So let's go ahead and do that. But so make sure that you, Justify says, I am not a twit, so I don't use X. And TaylorMade Media, you will be allowed to call in. You will not be silenced. You will not be blocked. You will not be removed from my channel. You get it. You understand. All right, so let's talk about some of these Colts. I did say the injury report. The starting left tackle for the Indianapolis Colts is out. He's not going to be playing. He has a knee injury. So that's a little bit less time for Anthony Richardson. So let's get into a few of the stats, the statistical analysis. All right. Let's break down. Now, this is what I started talking about. I started out talking about this when I started the show. There are some discrepancies, I guess, between like Pro Football. It wasn't Pro Football Focus, Pro Football Network. I think the way that they do the defensive rankings is by average per play or something, because they are way off. They have them at number 9, the Colts rushing. And Fox Sports, the defense against the run, they're 9th in the league against the run. Fox Sports has them at 28th. Okay, so this is we're talking about the totals, I guess. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go through the Fox Sports stuff first, and then I'll go to the Pro Football Network stuff and see if we can kind of figure out where these discrepancies lie. Because people always say, men lie, women lie, numbers don't. I always say men lie, women lie, and so do numbers. Okay, I'm not a stat guy, even though I did come to give you stats and not static. I'm not a huge stat guy because I believe that what happens with stats is you also have to put a face to it, right? You always also have to put a picture to it. So it's stats plus the eye test. Okay, stats can tell you one thing, the eye test can tell you a whole lot more. So let's go ahead and get into it. All right, so we've got the total defense. The Colts are 28th in total defense. Okay, they allowed 374.5 yards per game, and they have given up 27 touchdowns. So that is the Colts. Their passing defense. Okay, again, whenever I go with whatever the Colts are doing, I'm scrolling down towards the bottom. Okay, Passing defense, the Colts are 26th. They allow 231.5 yards per game, and they've given up 16 passing touchdowns. Okay, so they've given up 11 rushing touchdowns and 16 passing touchdowns. Okay, so they are supposedly the 9th best against the run, yet they give up a bunch of yards, and they've allowed 11 touchdowns on the ground in 10 games. Okay, you tell me which one is correct. So now we're going to the rushing defense. As I said, we're going to go down to the bottom. The Colts are 28th with 143.1 yards per game. I don't care what your average is, okay? If you're giving up 143.1 yards per game on the ground, you can't be considered top 10. Okay? Let's just for poops and giggles, let's look at what the top 10 is doing. Okay? Vikings 74.4. 4 touchdowns allowed. Now it says that the Colts have given up 10 rushing touchdowns. I don't know how 16 plus 10 equals 27. So I don't know what the other touchdown that the defense gave up was. What kind of touchdown can a defense give up that's not rushing or it's not passing? I'm not sure. All right. But the Ravens, 77.5. Okay. The Chiefs, 85.3. The Steelers, 90.3. Lions, 94.5 or 94.6. Or was that 0.8? Okay, it's 0.8. Sorry, victory buffs are dark. All right, the Broncos are 98.6. The Eagles are 99.9. The 49ers are 105 even, no points. The Texans are 108.8. The Dolphins are 109 even. That's the top 10 rushing defense yards per game. Okay, top 10 rushing defenses yards per game. Okay. As you see, the Lions are number 5 at 94.8. They're in a different class than the Indianapolis Colts. Okay, so that's just now scoring defense. Okay, let me go down to the bottom again. Okay, now not quite the bottom, but still less than the average. Definitely not top 10. Not proficiently good at anything. Okay. The Colts are 19th. They're allowing 22.7 points per game. That is what the Colts are allowing. Red zone defense. Obviously, the Lions are tied for third with the Broncos at 42.9% touchdown rate. Okay. The Bears are number 1 at 40.6. The Chargers are number 2 at 40.9. Okay. And then, as I said, the Broncos and the Lions are both 42.9. Okay. Where are the Colts? Red zone defense. Okay. Now, this is the best attribute that they have, but they're still nowhere near the Lions. They're coming in at 16th, 57.5% of the time. So that's almost 60% of the time. All right. If you're the Detroit Lions and you get to the red zone 10 times, which we'll talk about that in a bit, you generally don't get to the red zone 10 times. I mean, I think the most that we got to the red zone was against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and we got there 7 times. We only scored 1 time, and we know what happened in that game. Okay, but if you get to the red zone 10 times, you're pretty much scoring 6 times. That's what it is. Okay. Now, third down defense, we know the Lions are number 1. Okay. We allow 30.4% completions. Conversions. If you get to third down against the Detroit Lions, there's a 70% chance you're getting to fourth down. That's insane. Okay. What are the Colts? Okay, I'm going to default going towards the bottom, right? 23rd. Okay, they allow 43.1% of the time where you have a completion or where you're going to convert on a third down. So you're going to be, again, 10. You would be 4 for 10 versus them. You would be 3 for 10 versus the Lions. Okay. And that sounds like a very small difference, but we know if a game is close, one possession is very important. Okay. So these are the defensive stats of the Indianapolis Colts. Now, after I've gone through all of that, is anybody really worried about the Indianapolis Colts? Anybody really worried about our ability to win this football game? I was told by K Not Pressed, who unfortunately I think she left because she misconstrued one of my comments last time. But I was told that the Indianapolis Colts were going to beat our ass. Listen, going back to last night's game, did anybody? I'm pretty sure you guys saw that game, right? Paul Thomas says bullish is putting it mildly. I think we not only beat the Colts, but their wives come home to our players instead of theirs. So here's the thing, Taylor May, how do you stop? And this also goes into my thing from last night. Because like Anthony Richardson and his running ability really scared me a lot. But then I started thinking, and I was watching the game last night when the who was it? The Browns upset the Steelers. And I was looking at Justin Fields, and I was like, oh, yeah, we had training against Anthony Richardson. His name is Justin Fields. Okay, now, Anthony Richardson's a bit bigger. I would say that Justin Fields is faster. I think that we have a blueprint. I think that based off of two things. Remember when we played the Baltimore Ravens about 4 years ago? I think 4 years ago, right? Our first year with this new regime. And people were calling AG and asking him what was the blueprint to stop Lamar because he put together this thing. Now, it didn't work at all last year. Okay, that blueprint, whatever that was, didn't work at all last year. But he was the one that did put out a blueprint. He made Lamar so ineffective that people were calling and asking him. So we've got that feather in our cap. And then we also have the feather of Justin Fields in our cap. Okay? Justin Fields, who this regime played against, 6 times? Okay? Because he's not there this year. This is our 4th year with Dan and AG and Ben and all those guys, right? So we played against Justin Fields 6 times. All right? Y'all remember when Justin Fields got up and he was dancing and doing all, yeah, and remember they lost? Okay. So this is why I'm not completely afraid of Anthony Richardson, because we've seen him before. Okay, I know that there are differences. I'm not trying to say that Anthony Richardson and Justin Fields are the exact same guy. But, I mean, if you're rating them out of 10, like similarities, I would say 8.5 out of 10. Right? I think that the difference, I think Anthony Richardson is bigger and he throws a better deep ball than Justin Fields. Justin Fields throws he throws it great deep. He's got a lot of deep ball ability, but he just wasn't accurate with his deep ball. He often overthrew receivers. He would have receivers wide open and just overthrow them. Does he move left or right when he's launching the ball downfield? Yeah, I've seen him scramble out both ways. So I mean, that's one thing that we're gonna have to do is we're gonna have to stay disciplined when he starts scrambling. Okay, we're gonna have to stay disciplined, and especially I believe he gets a few hits from Jack Campbell. He gets a few hits from Brian Branch. He's gonna be looking less to run the football when he scrambles. Okay, so he might be trying to keep his eyes downfield. Now, here's the other thing with Anthony Richardson. Apparently, per Pat McAfee, and you all know Pat McAfee played for the Indianapolis Colts. He does his show in Indianapolis. He's a big Colts fan, okay? Born in Pittsburgh, so he was a Steelers fan, but he played for the Colts. He's got insider information from the Colts. So apparently the insider information behind closed doors, Anthony Richardson is looking night and day. Okay? The difference between Anthony Richardson now and Anthony Richardson before he got benched, night and day. So whatever lesson that they were trying to teach him, he learned from being benched. So what I was saying about him, it could have gone either way. It could have made him stay the same, or it could have made him better. And the reason I said it could have made him stay the same was because he got benched for a veteran who's been there before, who knows how to prepare, who knows how to do everything, who's been elite, maybe not. Is Joe Flacco elite? Who knows? We still don't know. Who's been in the playoffs, who's won a Super Bowl, and all these things. And that guy lost 2 games in a row. And he wasn't looking good in the games that he lost. He was throwing picks. He was making bad decisions. He was making bad reads. So that was the reason why I said, well, it could have made Anthony Richardson say the same, because it's like, all right, well, you benched me for this guy, and he's actually not playing any better than I was, or he could be playing worse. But apparently Anthony Richardson has gotten the memo. His preparation is different. His film is different. His attention to detail is different. All these things. One big reason why I believe that the Indianapolis Colts cannot be allowed to win this game. I'm not saying that they can't win the game. I'm saying they cannot be allowed to win this game. They are wearing their Indiana Knights uniforms with those very ugly black helmets. I've never seen an uglier black helmet. I love black helmets. I love black jerseys. I love all black uniforms. There's just a certain mystique. The Indianapolis Colts ensemble with their black helmets is awful. It is a terrible look. That's why they cannot be allowed to win this game. If they do win the game, it will be because they are wearing such ugly uniforms, because the Lions players will be so preoccupied with how ugly the uniforms are. But I don't think that they will lose the game. But you can't get beat by the Colts wearing those helmets. It's just not. Why is Johnny Unitas rolling over in his grave? Because of the quarterback situation with the Colts? So the game, TaylorMade, the one that I'm talking about, is when what was the score? 19-16 or something like that, where I think the Ravens only scored 1 touchdown, and Justin Tucker kicked the record-setting field goal, 66 yards at the horn, to beat the Lions at Ford Field. And we had a terrible defense, and we still held Lamar down. It wasn't a good game for Lamar. Joseph Austin. So the Matt Millen black is what you think, but remember, Remember, we exercised the demons, okay, when we had our blackout. Okay, and again, Joseph, the style sense. Okay, the Matt Millen blacks weren't pretty. You know, they weren't glistening and sparkling like these are. Okay, our blacks that we got now, the blackouts, oh, those are something to behold, especially with that electric blue helmet. Oh, it's so pretty. It's super duper pretty. Okay, so don't worry about the Matt Millen blacks. And again, remember, Jared Goff's black jerseys in the Hall of Fame. His black jerseys in the Hall of Fame. So don't be too worried about that. Oh, okay. he's rolling in his grave because of the uniforms. All right, let's see what some of you guys in the chat are saying. I think I got to those things. Yeah. Paul Thomas says Joe Flacco is not elite. And then Paul Thomas bursts out with the Jared Goff chants. All right. So the concern that we have in this game is Anthony Richardson. The other concern that we had in this game were Grover Stewart, and I can never remember the other guy's name. The two defensive tackles that they have. And here's where I'm trying to reconcile what Pro Football Network said about. Let me see if I can find it. So Pro Football Network. I'm trying to reconcile what Pro Football Network has to say about the Indianapolis Colts. Let's see. I'm trying to find their. All right, let's just go to the Colts page and see what they have here. Schedule stats. Okay. Here's their stats. Let's go with team stats. All right, so the basic stats for their defense. So they have stuffs and stuff yards and sacks and sack yards. Oh, also, I think the Colts are 15th in interceptions. So obviously the Lions are number one. Let's see here. Because they've got different levels of stats. All right, let's look at their offense quickly. All right, so passing. Their completions, they have 173 completions. Their opponents have 226. Okay, so they're minus 53 in completions compared to their opponents. Their attempts are 304. Their opponents have 328, okay, minus of 24% or 24. The completion percentage. Now, here's the thing. This is a mix of Joe Flacco and Anthony Richardson. 56.9% completions. Passing the football. They have a completion percentage, the Indianapolis Colts, over both quarterbacks, 56.9%. That is awful. In contrast, the people that they play against, their opponents, 68.9% completion percentage. Is Jared Goff not going to eat? Is Jared Goff not going to eat? Joseph Austin, yes, their helmets are electric blue when they wear the black uniforms. That's electric blue, man. The helmets are electric blue. Did you? All right. Well, they've got to feed Jonathan Taylor. If you have two quarterbacks, now you can't tell me that Anthony Richardson is at like 30% and Flacco was at 70. No, that's not happening, right? So if you've got two quarterbacks that have played and they have combined for 56.9% completions, you're definitely trying to feed your running back. And this is why I believe that the philosophy of the Detroit Lions leads to them winning the game automatically, because the first thing that they're trying to do is stop the run. Okay, so if you're able to stop the run, and the run game is going to have to be extended with Anthony Richardson. And when the run game is extended with Anthony Richardson, and this is based on necessity, right? When the run game is extended with Anthony Richardson he's injury prone. So if you're exposing them to more hits just so you can try to manufacture a running game, just so you can try to keep the defense honest and open up the play action pass, your quarterback is going to be more susceptible to injury. All right, Joseph Austin doesn't like new colors. Old school throwback for him. Okay, to each their own. I have to go back and look. I did watch quite a bit of, but it was red zone, so they were just showing a lot of Joe Flacco's interceptions, but he was pushing the ball down the field. I mean, they've got Alec Pierce, who I believe leads the league in yards per catch. Okay, so he's got more than J-Mo. He's a burner. He can get down the field and take the top off the defense. So they do have the deep threats, and they have all that. So they're not, close to the line of scrimmage and all these things. They're not the Chicago Bears. Okay, we'll put it that way. But their interceptions. Okay, again, they've thrown 12 interceptions. They've picked off 8. Okay, so they're -4 in interceptions. Yards, they've gained 2,149. Their opponents have gained 2,535. They're -386. Okay, yards per attempt, 7.1. Opponents 7.7. Net yards, 1983. Opponents' net yards, 2384. So they're -401. So that's even less. That's a bigger difference than their gross yard minus. So net yards per attempt, 6.1. Opponents, 6.8. Sacked 22 times, and they've sacked their opponents 22 times. So there is right there is the only thing that they're on par with their opponents with so far. Okay, sack yards lost, 166. Opponents, 151. So they are -15 on that. Yards per game, 214.9. Opponents' yards per game, 253.5. So they are trailing their opponents by 38.6 yards per game. Touchdowns, 13. Opponents, 14. They're -1. Listen, Based off of what you are seeing from the stats, again, stats, eye test, those things need to be married. Okay? Indianapolis Colts, bad football team. Okay? They have a 5-6 record. Again, let's look at the last game that they won. They beat the Jets. I think it was 28-26. On the last few minutes of the game, drive by Anthony Richardson to orchestrate that win. The Jets are a bad football team. The Jets, I think, are 3-8 or 3-7. Okay? The Jets are a team whose defense was supposed to be so highly touted and so good at the beginning of the year, and they are not playing for their coach anymore. Okay? This is a team which is in complete upheaval. There's a video apparently of Davante Adams getting pissed at Aaron Rodgers on the last drive against the Colts. Aaron Rodgers doing Aaron Rodgers things, throwing people under the bus, getting them traded out. I don't know if Mike Williams really affected the game last night. Nobody affected the game. Oh, yeah, I started talking about the Browns and the Steelers. I'm gonna talk about that here too. Mike Williams, though, goes to Pittsburgh and immediately starts catching touchdowns from Russell Wilson. So much happier in Pittsburgh, not having that toxic leader at the helm. So this is a really bad football team that has quit and is not really playing up to the level that everyone thought that they would play. And then the Indianapolis Colts had to give everything that they had to beat that team. I think it was on the road as well. So that's one thing. But you had to give everything that you had to beat that team. But watching last night's game, as I started getting into in the beginning, you had an 8-2 Pittsburgh Steelers team go against a 2-8 Cleveland Browns team. And the 2-8 team left that game 3-8, and the 8-2 team left that game 8-3. It's a any given Sunday league, yes, 100% for sure. But there were two things working for the Cleveland Browns. Well, actually, I have to say one thing. I mean, in theory, it's two things. You could say the weather, but it snows in Pittsburgh, too. So they've played in snow games in Pittsburgh. It's not – they played in cold games in Pittsburgh. They played in wet and windy games in Pittsburgh. So I don't think the weather was as big a factor for one team as it was against the other team. I think they were both comfortable in those elements, and I don't think it played a huge part in either team winning. But the one thing that you did have going for the Browns is that it was a divisional game. You throw the records out, and I always say this. When it's in the division, you throw the records out. It doesn't matter if you are 0-10 and you're playing against your divisional leader who's 10-0. It doesn't matter. You have an opportunity to win that game more so than the whole any given Sunday, right? So Herman Moore had a great quote about the Jacksonville Jaguars game. He said that, the NFL is any given Sunday. Any team can win any given time. But if we had 12 more Sundays in the month, the Jacksonville Jaguars were not going to beat the Detroit Lions. Okay. You would think that from looking at the Browns and their record, but then also one of those wins of the two that they had was against the Baltimore Ravens, okay, who are always a threat to be, or not even a threat, but they're always the favorite in the division, right? One of the favorites. They beat the Baltimore Ravens in Cleveland. So then the Steelers come in and win, or the Steelers come in and play them in Cleveland. And they won it. They pulled it out. Okay? So I'm just saying not to poo-poo teams. Even though the Indianapolis Colts look like a really bad football team. You look at all the numbers. You look at their record. They're 5-6. They're still fighting for something. Okay? They're fighting for something, and they're at home. With all that being said, the Detroit Lions are 7-point favorites on the road. Being 7-point favorites on the road is like this. The Detroit Lions were 14-point favorites at home against the Jaguars. And we saw how that game played out. It is the same type of situation. When you are double-digit favorites at home, Vegas is saying that you are going to blow a team out. When you are a touchdown favorite on the road, Vegas is saying that home team has no chance against you. That is what's happening with the odds. So while you have to be careful about any team that you play, and you have to be careful picking blowouts, okay? I never pick, well, okay, I can't say that. I did pick a blowout twice, and that was the Titans and the Jaguars, and those were both of those games. They put up 52 points. Okay, I did pick those. I'm not gonna pick a blowout on the road. You saw what happened when we went to Houston. Okay, it's hard to win on the road, but the only team undefeated on the road in the NFL is the Detroit Lions. It's hard. It's hard to win on the road. Remember back when we couldn't win on the road, right? So we've got a Colts fan in here. Nick Span. He says, it all depends on Richardson. We have been one QB away since Luck retired. Y'all probably going to win Sunday, but I just pray to God we put up a good, decent fight. We'll give you can put up a good, decent fight. Just make sure Richardson throws one to Kirby. I'm trying to get to these 10 picks. I'm trying to get to these 10 picks. So that's the thing. Okay. He's a Colts fan. He doesn't think his team is going to win. When you don't think your team is going to win and you don't have the confidence in your team to win, that shows a lot about. So as a Colts fan, if you're still here, Nick, did you notice a big difference between Anthony Richardson against the Jets and Anthony Richardson before he got benched? That's the question that I want to ask you. Frog Cop, what's going on, my guy? Or Crop, sorry. Motown Mitch is here. What up, though? Lions rule, Bears drool. And Knuckles can't be stopped. Time to feast on some Colts. Yeah, it sounds just like how us Lions fans used to be. We didn't think that there was a chance in hell to win a lot of games that we were playing. So that's the thing. TaylorMade Media says good point on divisional play. Yeah. Maybe they had a letdown after beating the Ravens. You know what? Just to get a little bit off a topic, this is exactly why I want the Steelers to get through to the Super Bowl and play the Detroit Lions. How do you have so many games, and it doesn't matter who your quarterback is, it doesn't matter if your quarterback is Justin Fields, it doesn't matter if it's Russell Wilson. Now you see they had to put Justin Fields in to try to to spark the offense down the stretch, and they did. And it was the fourth quarter, and that was the first time that they had scored a touchdown. They hadn't scored a touchdown in 7 quarters. 7 quarters they hadn't scored a touchdown. And against the Jacksonville Jaguars, we had 7 drives in a row in which we scored touchdowns. You understand what I'm saying? Like, so the Pittsburgh Steelers, they have a great coach. And I know there are people that don't like Mike Tomlin for whatever reason. They don't think he's a great coach. Okay. But there was a quote from Mike Tomlin, and he said, a lot of coaches shy away from coaching. So when they draft players or whatever, and you see a draft profile on a player and he's like, okay, he doesn't have good hands. He's like, okay, but I can coach his hands, right? We can coach up hands as long as he's got the grit and determination and the know-how and the want to, and he can be coached. Okay. He might be a burner. Okay. Look at J-Mo. J-Mo had problems with drops. His first real year of having any expectations to be in the offense or whatever, right? Dan Campbell said he probably was never going to be an elite hands catcher. Now, Dan Campbell and J-Mo, okay, they've come together. All right? That's Dan Campbell's guy now. And he's giving him the confidence, and you see very, very few drops. Okay? He's not Amon-Ra St. Brown, where he catches everything. And even Amon-Ra St. Brown has a couple drops. Now, when you're getting 500 targets a year, you're probably going to drop a couple, okay? But he has a very low drop rate. But so Mike Tomlin's a great coach. They've got a great defense, TJ Watt, and then they've got Hyde Smith on the other side, who I think he was injured. But their offense, it doesn't matter. It's just something. It's like the Bermuda Triangle of offense. Last year, they had Matt Canada, who couldn't get the offense going. Now they've got Arthur Smith, who obviously they like better, who is a more likable person. But again, they've won 2 games this year in which they haven't scored a touchdown. And I think they kicked 6 field goals in both of those games. Okay? And last night, it was looking like they weren't going to score a touchdown, and they finally got one towards the end of the game, but it wasn't enough. All right, so let's get back to Nick Spann. So Nick Spann says they lit a fire under his ass. I never wanted them to bench him in the first place. He played way quicker, actually going through his reads and made smart decisions. He also says he has played 1 good game this year. 1. He's going to have to prove it again this week and the weeks after that, and really until the end of the year for the fan base to trust him again for next year. Okay, so his 1 good game was against the Jets. So we'll see what he does against the Detroit Lions, who has a defense that actually plays. And by the way, I absolutely have the utmost respect for the Lions and especially y'all fans. Y'all been through the ringer past 20 years. LMAO. It's been more than 20 years, but I appreciate you. I appreciate you, my guy. Yeah, we did have our stretch in the 90s, you know, where we were, you know, Barry went to the playoffs 5 times. Okay, 5 times in 10 years. You know, that's you always had a chance to get to the playoffs with Barry. Now we did only play in 6 playoff games, which means we won a playoff game one of those years. Okay, because there was 1 year where we played multiple playoff games. We beat the brakes off the Cowboys and then got waxed by the, at the time, Redskins. Motown Mitch says, bro, I'm 57, man. Wish it was 20 years. Yeah, just yeah. That's the hope. That's not the hope, but that's what we wish. We wish we could say it was only 20 years. Now, if you're saying 20 years consistently, okay, you know, I'll go with that. We had a massively underachieving quarterback that was supposed to be the golden boy that always threw a pick six when we were trying to have a game-winning drive. But that's none of my business. Frog Crop says, is Colts O-line good? Nick Span, that's one that you would have to. I would say they're not very good. I would say that they're decent. However, like I did say, their starting left tackle is out. He has a knee injury. So that is what that is. It is really hot in here. You know, I'm taking it for the team. I'm doing it for the fans, wearing the Lions hoodie. You know what I mean? I'm gonna have to figure out where the hat is, because both of these things were supposed to arrive at the same time, but I don't know where the hat is. So hopefully it'll get here. I don't know when it's gonna get here, but it needs to. Again, so now that there are more people here, if you are not following me on X or Twitter, whichever one you want to call it, that's MCDP313 on X or Twitter. Follow me, because we're going to try to test out the call-ins, the live call-ins on Sunday during the live stream. And if it works out, then we want to obviously have things coming through on Monday, because obviously people will want to talk about the game. Sometimes I hang out after the show, after the live stream. So a Sunday or a Monday. Sorry. See, I'm mixing up my days because I'm in Australia and I'm in the future. I'm 16 hours ahead of y'all. But so sometimes, depending on how many people are in the stream at the end of the game, I hang out and do a little bit of a post-game reaction, so a post-game show or whatever. But yeah, if we got the call-ins going and they're working and all this stuff, we'll probably hang out a little bit after the game and do some call-ins. Hopefully they'll be happy call-ins. Hopefully the Lions won't have a letdown. Justin says, Chef, you mean John Padford? Yes, that guy. Noted cuck. So Nick Span says our O-line was the best in the league after Raymond, our LT, got hurt. A rookie came in and he has been decent. We definitely have at least a moderately good line. Our D-line will eat you up, though. So yeah, you guys have what are their names? The two defensive tackles. I always forget the names. You got Grover and who? Says not just one player on the D-line. It's a community effort. A lot of good players, but not one that is great other than Buckner. DeForest Buckner. There we go. Yes. So Grover Stewart and DeForest Buckner. He said, didn't mean to say our line was the best, meant to say one of the best. Yeah, because our offensive line is the best. I'll put our offensive line up against anybody else. So here's the thing, Nick. You guys do have a really good defensive line. So my question now is, why are you so bad against the run? Because we have one publication that is ranking you 9th best against the run, but then your average run yards per game is 143.1. Did you guys get gashed like one game and give up a bunch of yards? Was that the case? We get a lot of pressure, but not always a lot of sacks. Yeah, we were the same way last year. Right? I mean, We're pretty much kind of the same this year. You know, we have a very high pressure rate after Aidan Hutchinson went out, but this is because it's manufactured pressures now. We blitz a lot now. I think we're one of the highest blitzing teams in the league. But yeah, I'm interested in this run games thing. So it says that he says at the start of the year our run D was terrible. It fell on the linebackers. Zaire and Speed was letting people through like crazy. Ah, okay. So basically, you guys have improved over the year, but it's not enough improvement, whereas that number is not going to still be high. Gotten a lot better, but Montgomery and Gibbs terrifies me. Hey, listen, tell your safeties, you better take the right angle because your fellow AFC South Titans, yeah, they let up that 70-yarder because they thought they had the right angle, but it was a couple steps and gone. Top speed. Sonic and Knuckles might eat a bit. The Knuckles thing, man. I don't like it. I don't like it. Sonic is my guy. I'm cool with Sonic. And he's just so damn fast. You know, I just don't like Knuckles. I don't like, it's not that I don't like the character. And shout out to Knuckles because he's an echidna or echidna, however you say. He's an Australian animal. I've never seen one. Okay, I'm just gonna say right out, I've never seen one. Maybe I've seen one scampering or scurrying across somewhere, and I didn't know it was one because I wasn't close enough. But I've never seen one in the wild. Um, Nick Cross is a tackling machine. Y'all also have Alec Pierce, or is it Alec? Is it Alec or Alex? Um, who he can stretch the field like crazy, right? Yeah, Nick Cross, Kenny Moore. Kenny Moore is a beast. We already know that. I think when he was up, he was one of the people I wanted the Lions to sign a couple years ago. Yeah, Alec, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm saying. He can stretch the field. All right, just a fan. Later, I'm gonna hop off very soon as well because, as I said, I'm hot. I need to take this hoodie off. What does it say right now? So right now it's 85 degrees outside. Keep building the pod. I will, man. Just hey, make sure you guys keep smashing like buttons, keep sharing, keep telling everybody what is going over here at the Motor City Cats. Um, Lone Spoon, did I hear that Branch and Joseph are going to get the nickname Smash and Grab? Yeah, so I saw the video that Easy posted on Twitter. Um, and again, I gotta get Easy on here probably next week. But yeah, I saw the video that he posted on Twitter, and he was talking about. He asked Brian Branch about Smash and Grab. Brian approved of the smash part, but he said you have to ask Jay Curb about grab part. Josh Downs, our wide receiver one right now. Pittman is gonna play, but he's been playing hurt, has a back injury. Pierce is good and only good for deep shots. Um, well, Kirby versus Pierce. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. I like smash and grab though. Smash and grab. I like that better than Sonic and Knuckles. Send some heat to Michigan, bro. I wish I could. So But see, Melbourne weather is so weird because we're gonna have like yesterday, it was like 90 plus. Today it's gonna be 90 plus. And then it's gonna drop back down into, you know, the late 60s. You know, the high 60s, low 70s or whatever. So and then it's going to be that way throughout the week. So it's like every time we get a day or two of really hot, then it comes right back down. So that's the saving grace of it being this hot. And the only reason I don't have the AC on in the house because the AC is really loud. So but it might come to a time in a few weeks here where I might just have the AC on and be like, man, I hope it's not too loud for y'all, but you know, it is what it is. Nick Span, same, my guy. All right, guys. Once again, I appreciate you hanging out. Appreciate you sticking around. Make sure you smash the like button. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you share the stream and let everybody know what is going on. The Motor City Cats are back at it. Frog Crop, I am in Melbourne, Australia. So, let me see. Yeah, I'm in Melbourne, Australia. So that would be the state, Melbourne. Or no, the state is actually Victoria. Sorry, Melbourne is the city. But yeah, once again, Motor City Cats are back at it. I came to give you stats, not static. Whatever you do, I mean, I can't tell you what to do, but make sure you keep your Lions news pragmatic. And we are out.